Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the May 9th, 2023 Development Review Commission hearing. The Development Review Commission is created to hold public meetings and hearings to provide analysis and recommendations to the City Council regarding general land use policies and applications where the Commission has recommendatory power, and to render final decisions on specified applications where the Commission has final decision-making power, including but not limited to all aspects of proposed and future development. The Development Review Commission recognizes that the creation of a desirable environment throughout the city for residents, businesses, and industry is a prime requisite for the interdependence of land values, aesthetics, and good site planning by promoting harmonious, safe, attractive, and compatible development that is therefore considered to be in the best interest of the public health, safety, and general welfare. Any person aggrieved by a final decision of the Development Review Commission may file an appeal to the City Council within 14 calendar days of the Development Review Commission's, after the Development Review Commission has rendered its decision. Development Review Commission recommendations to the City Council are not final decisions. The commissioners here with us tonight include Robert Miller, Commissioner Michelle Schwartz, Vice Chair, I am Andrew Johnson, Vice Chair Andrew Johnson, Chair Joe Forte, I'm sorry, Commissioner Joe Forte, Commissioner Linda Spears, and Charles Redmond. City staff who are here with us tonight include Jeff Tamalevich, Ryan Levake, Steve Abrahamson, Mylen Pinkovich, Diana Kaminsky. I don't see, is Zachary here? No? Oh, online, okay. Zachary Letcher is here online, Joanna Berry, and Jason Wolf. Okay, tonight's agenda includes our study session minutes, regular meeting minutes, and then 2 items for hearing. One of those items we plan to place on our consent agenda, which means that we will not be hearing that publicly. We will have one vote and that will either pass or not. And it won't be heard. If anyone is here or is online that wishes to hear that, please let us know, let me know, and we can put that back on our regular agenda. So to start, I would like to entertain a motion for our meeting minutes.
Chair,
Commissioner Spears?
I move for the approval of the study session and regular meeting minutes from March 14th.
And is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Okay, we have 5 in approval and 1 abstention. So that passes for those meeting minutes. All right, now I would like to entertain, well, first I'll describe. So item number 4, we plan to place on the consent agenda. It is McKimmey Riggs House. So anyone here in the audience wishes to hear that? Speak now. Okay, we don't have anybody online, I assume? Okay, thank you very much. All right, I would like to entertain a motion for our consent agenda. Commissioner Spears?
I move for the approval of the consent agenda.
Thank you. Is there a second? Commissioner
Second.
Schwartz? Seconded by Commissioner Schwartz. All those in favor? And that passes 6-0. Okay, next on our agenda, moving right along, item number 3. Are we starting with staff or with the applicant? So I'd like to invite the applicant up for grass clippings at Rolling Hills.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Chairman, Commissioners, Trevor Barger with Grass Clippings Rolling Hills. Thank you for the opportunity to present to you this evening our exciting new venture in Tempe. And so we started out with Rolling Hills Golf Course. Typically, Rolling Hills Golf Course is a golf course that is maintained by city staff and operated by an outside vendor that the city commissions to run the golf course. We submitted a couple of years ago a proposal to the city of Tempe to change that arrangement and that we would lease the golf course for 50 years, maintain it and operate it as a golf course for that time period. A lot of negotiation about how the golf course would look before and after, about what sort of operations would go on there, because the 4 young men that I'm partnered with who really want to reinvigorate the game of golf have been looking at ways about how to get a younger and more diverse audience into the game of golf. We noticed, for example, 3 golf courses have closed in Tempe, and each year that one of those golf courses closed, the play at the remaining golf courses did not increase. And so it's a game that is losing that way. Tom Weiskopf, famously in one of the interviews he did, pointed out that his grandchildren don't play golf. And so it's a piece where it's a nice activity and they want to keep people playing it and want a more diverse audience of folks playing it. To do that, we entered into a development agreement with the city that created a conceptual site plan that's included in your packets for reference. Ryan and I sat down one afternoon and came up with a list of all the things one might do at a golf course. And you can imagine, you could just say, oh, those are all just ancillary golf course uses, except for in the city of Tempe, several of those require a use permit. And so we're here today before you for all of those specific use permits to kind of go through that list and finish up our entitlements. And so really, we want to make it a more diverse sport for a lot of folks, invite people back, be able to go out and play in flip-flops and shorts, play games for a short period of time, not have to be out there all day to play the game. They've created events where they have everybody from 12 to 90 playing golf together. And so really a great way to engage folks with that. They also want to renovate the existing dining facilities that are there and making it its own dining destination, even if you don't play golf, for people like me, to be able to come and sit on the patio and enjoy the incredible views of the Tempe skyline, the Phoenix skyline, and the Papago Buttes. It will also be illuminated at night for night golf play, which only makes sense in the desert because this time of year, golf play, if you don't know, stops. Usually the last group goes out around 3 o'clock. And that concludes the use of the golf course for the day. Most of Tempe is only coming awake at 3 o'clock in this time of year, and so the ability to play into the evening hours in this setting. And so working with city staff, we determined that we need the following 5 use permits for things that are in that, I'd say, gray zone about whether or not that is or isn't allowed as just an ordinary part of use at a golf course. And so we put all of those things in there to ask for permission for them. We particularly chose this golf course because we're 2/3 of a mile from the clubhouse to the closest single-family residence and 2/5 of a mile to the closest multifamily folks. So this is not like a typical golf course surrounded by estates in all directions who would be upset that we're lighting the golf course at night or playing on it on the evening hours. This is in a park setting and it's isolated by the mountain range, the Papago Buttes, from the residential that are kind of over the hill on the other side. And so you can see we really have a lot of nice distance between us and the other residential uses to keep this at bay. For our development agreement, we had Schedule G, which is all those uses we talked about that Ryan and I went over. And then we talked about on the conceptual site plan where they go. As you can see here, most of the uses are clustered at the clubhouse. That's where most of the activity goes on outside of the playing of golf. And then we have the bar nightclub dining sort of setting that is up at the Tempe Butte. There's one butte on the property right now. It has incredible views. You can only get there by playing hole number 8 or 11 currently. And so we'd like to open that to the general public and have a place there to set as well. That was approved in the development agreement, but wanting to make sure we wrap up all of the use permit elements that go with that. And then our clubhouse layout, really compact, fun place to hang in the evening, having multi-function space, events in the evening on the lawn there, and indoor-outdoor spaces, really taking advantage of the incredible views that are offered there. We worked through all of the parking that goes with that. It's in the development agreement and then solidified through these use permits for all of those different uses. And then how we're going to provide those parking on site at the corner of what is currently the driving range. Kind of all the different pieces, the Hilltop Bar you see here. Phase construction, so the Hilltop Bar will likely start out with a food truck and patio and umbrellas and chairs. This is an outdoor space. It may become more formalized. Community garden, as you can imagine, people who love playing golf outdoors in the garden, in the landscape setting. A lot of the folks wanting to do community garden elements, that requires use permit in the city of Tempe, so we're coming forward for that. And a conceptual plan of what a community garden could look like as part of our project. Outdoor entertainment, wanting to have lots of fun outside, be able to bring the kids, sit in the lawn, enjoy the evening in Tempe, and so being able to provide space for that. And then parking for all of our regular events on site and expanding the parking to do that. For large special events, we're working out with the neighbors who are really close by with very big parking lots of their own, be able to use those for special events. We're not here for a special event permit though. I just wanted to show it was available. We are in a whole area of evening venues. To give you an idea, the Desert Botanical Garden, the Phoenix Zoo does 40,000 people a weekend during zoo lights. The golf course does 54,000 people a year. And so making it more in line with the other uses of Papago Park, that such a big area of land gets to be used by sort of all sorts of activities throughout the year. Massage, one that comes up, again, requires a use permit in the city of Tempe. It's a real gray line of when did massage as a business slide into a street category, or as we intend to set up a tent. You can imagine during a golf outing, you have a physical therapy tent that's set up to be able to offer massage therapist elements. And so it's just that element that we just thought we'd come and ask for it and get it done within the use permits. Retail sales, indoor and outdoor, no big surprise. Most golf courses, including this one, currently have a pro shop. But again, typically in Tempe, retail sales requires a use permit, and so making sure we included that as well. Those are our proposals for the use permits at Rolling Hills. Any questions?
Thank you. Questions for the applicant? I see. Commissioner Redmond?
I think there's really interesting ideas, so, but a couple things, it's mind expanding, so you have to bring me up to speed. What drove you to have a community garden? I mean, I see the bar and the entertainment and whatever. I mean, you don't need to grow those many herbs for your restaurant.
We do not, no, sir. The community garden is really community focused, and the whole group that's come together to create grass clippings at Rolling Hills looks for community elements. Their mantra is stay grassy. They're all about the greenskeepers who maintain the golf course and have a great love for them and support of them. And so for them, something that grows out of the earth is a natural extension of all the agronomy that's going on the property, and another way to get people involved in activities and have a reason to come out and enjoy the setting.
Yeah. The other question is, it said you consulted with the zoo, and that had something to do with your property line and lights, and
It does.
they worry at all about the animals and noise?
They worry about the animals all the time. That is their sole job.
Yes.
Chairman, Commissioner Redmond. So when we did our initial outreach before we even proposed to the city of Tempe, we met with the zoo. After proposing to the city of Tempe, we were asked not to meet with anybody for a series of months until the RFP was decided, and then continued meeting with the zoo. In fact, we only met again with the zoo just a few weeks ago, and so we're regular meeters with the zoo. The zoo was quite surprised to hear from us that in the last 15 years, they've never heard from anybody on the golf course operations side. And so in our first meeting, and ever since, they've had lots to share with us about what happens on their side of the line with the golf course. And so particularly, they receive about 54 stray balls per week into the zoo's property. And so as you see in the conceptual site plan that we orchestrate, that's part of our development agreement, there are asterisks along 3 holes that are right along the zoo property line. The zoo staff and the Tempe Golf Leagues at Rolling Hills are negotiating how to create a peaceful resident condition along that line where the zoo won't have to worry about golf balls coming their way, and the league gets to continue playing golf the way they traditionally have. And so they're currently looking at alternatives like reshaping, possibly slight adjustments to 2 of the holes, and netting to be able to make that a safer experience along that edge. With the night lights, they were quite impressed that we were using Marco lights. They are very well known for their ability to give full cutoff, as you saw in that first image. And so they have guaranteed that we'll be able to have full cutoff light within 50 feet. We're doing a 100-foot buffer along the zoo to protect those sort of areas. Part of that is on the city of Tempe property. Part of that is on the city of Phoenix property within the fence of the golf course, but not actually the property of the golf course. And so we have a buffer to protect that. There are two animals, there's one animal in particular that they're concerned about, the breeding building for the endangered black-footed ferret is in that area. And so we have a commitment to them to make sure that we adjust whatever lighting we need to adjust to protect the ability for the black-footed ferret to continue breeding.
Great. It's fascinating.
Other questions? Commissioner Miller?
Just continuing on with the zoo, I'm looking at your conceptual plan, and you're modifying holes 3 and 4 that run along the zoo property line at this point. That's part of the plan, right?
Chairman, Commissioner Miller, we don't have any plans yet for what is going to happen with those holes or that boundary. Currently, the zoo and the leagues are kind of working out what would happen with those areas. One of the possibilities is modifying 3 and 4. Yes, sir.
Well, only because having played there a few times and having hit a couple of balls into the zoo, it's very tight along there at this time, and there's really also nothing other than a chain link fence, and it's not very effective. It would be interesting if you could come up with some sort of landscaping that would also kind of soften it along there, but I applaud you for what you're doing with that, so
Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Other comments, questions? I have one question, and I'm hoping you can walk me through how this interconnects with the canal path on the north. I guess that would be the north end of the property.
Chairman, as you know, there is a path along the Crosscut Canal that is incredibly popular for bicyclists, multi-path users. Currently, there is no access to the golf course from that piece. You'd have to come all the way down to Curry, across on Curry, back up Mill, come into the clubhouse. And so in our development agreement and through our conversations, we made a commitment to be able to engage with that path primarily because we want all of those users to become people who share in the golf course. That's also one of the reasons the Hilltop Bar is that setting of you're coming down our trail, you can kind of duck under the aqueduct, come on in, and use the property. And so, let's see if I have a way to point. No. And so where the yellow box is in the middle of the golf course, just above that on the page, there's a swooping curve that is the fence line of the zoo of the golf course right now. That is where the entry drive is for the zoo maintenance yards on that side of the zoo. And so from that location, you can take the path, from the path, dip underneath the aqueduct on the maintenance road, and you will be able to then come into the property at that location and make your way to the Hilltop Bar or come down to the clubhouse.
And say, for example, I'm on that path with my bike, which I am frequently, and I wanted to stop at the Hilltop Bar. Where would I put my bike? I didn't see any parking, bicycle parking at that location.
We don't have any site plan approval yet. That's part of our site plan approval with the city staff. Mm-hmm. There will be bike parking, of course, at the Hilltop Bar. There will also be bike parking at the main entry. We have locations for both.
Great, thank you.
Hope to see you there.
I'll be there. Yes, follow-up, Commissioner Miller?
Just as a kind of follow-up to that, if you're providing access, let's say bicycle access to the Hilltop Bar, is that going to generate bike traffic on the cart paths?
Chairman, Commissioner Miller, we're really concentrating on that topic right now. We think we can isolate the two, and so that we wouldn't open it up to bicycles going everywhere through the golf course during golf play. The same, we don't anticipate to have general strollers out in the golf course during golf play. And so we think there is a route that already exists in that area The Hilltop Bar is a little bit of elevation, so we have to make sure that we meet accessibility requirements to that location, but being able to get folks up there safely without being a part of golf play.
Would you be amenable to allowing those alternative uses when play is not going on?
Well, with any luck, other than at 6 in the morning, we won't have a time when play is not going on.
I only ask that because I don't know if you're familiar with St. Andrews in Scotland, which is essentially a park, and you have people and bicycles and strollers back and forth all the time.
Yes, sir.
And it's actually not a problem since everybody's aware of it. So I honestly would love to be able to ride the cart path there. It's very hilly and be a really nice ride.
Commissioner Miller, if we had the same liability laws as Scotland, it would make it much easier. Currently, as you know, we end up in the strange category of, are we responsible for everybody when they're on the course in that strange condition?
And I understand the course could be considered an attractive nuisance, so
We hope so.
thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you very much. I'd like to invite up staff now for their portion of the presentation.
Good evening, Chair, Commission. Diana Kaminsky, Senior Planner, Community Development. The request before you is for 5 use permits. The use permit for a bar and license for Series 6 license, use permit for a community garden, the use permit to expand their existing entertainment uses on site to include arcade, permanent and temporary outdoor and indoor live entertainment and music, a massage establishment, and retail sales, including liquor, indoor and outdoor. The applicant went over the different locations of the site and the site plan. This gives you an idea. The red dots represent the light pole locations that they mentioned earlier. The Series 6 license is to replace the current Series 5 liquor license that we have at the golf course, which is the government license. So we can't transfer that. So the request for the use permit is to allow them to get the Series 6 license as a private operator of the golf course. So it's a continuation of a use that's been there on site. I won't go through all the criteria here, but as the managers of the property, they will be responsible for behavior and management of things that happen on the course. The use permit for the community garden, they identified a location for that. They're still working out the design details for the community garden. They're looking at that as an ancillary use to the golf course, as I mentioned. And in your reports, I have outlined the analysis related to all the criteria for the use permit. The use permit to expand the existing entertainment includes outdoor stages. The stages would be movable, and they've shown some locations of where these would be located. We have special conditions related to the orientation of outdoor speakers and special requirements that they have for those stages to meet fire and building safety requirements. We also have a condition related to the differentiation between general entertainment uses that they have through this use permit and the threshold that would become a special event, which would require a special event permit and go through a different process. And this is tied to the parking that's available. So based on the number of parking spaces that they're able to provide through their design review process, if they go above that, then it would trigger the requirement to get a special event permit. The use permit for a massage would allow them to have massage at any time that the golf course is open. They are looking at mostly an outdoor use that would be in a tent situation related to therapy for the golfers. And retail sales would include liquor store and outdoor retail, which is a continuation but an expansion of their current retail sales on site. Similar retail uses include Sing Meadows, the Desert Botanical Garden, and the Phoenix Zoo. This shows the location of the proposed parking and the expansion of that along Mill Avenue. The elevations are provided for reference. They are still working out some of the design details. They'll be bringing that through an administrative process through staff for development plan review. A neighborhood meeting is not required for use permits. However, they did have several meetings, community meetings with special stakeholders groups, not part of the planning process, but during their development agreement process. And these are some of the stakeholders that they met with, including the Parks and Recreation Golf Board. They had 5 meetings with them. And upon completion of this report, staff has not received any calls of inquiry or concern related to this request. We are recommending approval subject to the conditions. The applicant did review the conditions and has requested one modification, and we have some changes that we provided to you in the study session. So I'd like to go through those quickly with you for the changes. Number 1, the use permit for the liquor license, they would like to have the ability to start operating or continue operating the liquor service at the point that they take over operations of the golf course, which would be July 1st. So they're asking that of the 5 use permits, they be allowed to start use of the liquor license after June 30th. So we've added language to allow that. The other ones are tied to building permits, and that's for performance to make sure that we have the construction completed for those uses. There were no changes to conditions 2 through 12. 13 is related to the event parking and specific conditions for that. Number 14 in your report has been deleted, and that's related to the dead or missing landscaping in the landscape islands of the parking lot. We'll be handling that through the development review process. And then we added conditions related to the community garden, and that's 15, 16, and 17. The community garden, just for clarification, does not include apiaries for beekeeping, and a use permit for beekeeping is required by code. And the community garden does not include the keeping of animals on site. If they choose to add those at a later time, they would be coming back for a use permit for the keeping of animals. And any turning of compost or off-site special event parking on unimproved surfaces shall comply with dust control requirements for Maricopa County. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions for staff? Okay.
Thank
not
you.
seeing it. Thank you very much. All right, our next piece of process is public comments. Is there anyone here? I don't have any cards. Anyone online? Okay, seeing none. We'll move right to commissioner discussion, or I would entertain a motion. Quiet group tonight. Okay, Commissioner Schwartz.
I think great design, and really appreciate how we're trying to activate this really jewel in the city and make it, more accessible to all. I am still struggling with the massage use, just in general. I'm unsure how you would even really set up an establishment if that really encompasses the whole facility. When you read through what's required for that, how it would meet some of those and actually comply. Seeing that it will be mostly outside, so that's my real struggle with that portion of the use permit. There's no dedicated space in the facility itself that's been identified for that use.
Other thoughts, comments? Sir,
Mr. Chairman, I have to echo those concerns a bit. I don't quite understand how it will work. I understand the idea, but it's very non-specific in the way it's presented here. And non-specificity tends to open up a lot of possibilities in terms of what might end up being done as opposed to what is discussed here. And I'm just concerned about that. And I just find that too open-ended for me. That's the one piece of this puzzle that bothers me.
thank you, Commissioner Miller. Commissioner Spears?
If I can, I don't know if this helps, but if you've participated in special events, whether it's a golf tournament or a race, or it's not unusual for there to be a tent set up with a massage, whether it's a chair massage or, it's not the type of massage you would go to a spa to get, for instance. If that's the intent, then it would make sense to have something set up in the clubhouse itself. But I mean, my interpretation is it really is a special event type of thing. And if it didn't require, if the city didn't require a use permit, they wouldn't have to ask for it. But I think that they're just covering all bases at this point.
And I'll just add that I think not having a dedicated space within the facility itself kind of forces that to happen in a tent situation and have it during those types of events where it's a very intentional type of setup.
Yeah, I mean,
Commissioner Schwartz?
I understand where you're coming from. It just, you know, when you're it is a use permit for a massage establishment. It's not just to do massage on site. So massage chairs, other things in tents, my understanding is that is allowed without a use permit. So what we are voting on here is a massage establishment use permit.
Can staff address that? Because I've understood that it does apply to the city's definition of massage includes those activities.
Chair Johnson, Commission Member Spears. Yeah, the intent of the use permit process for the massage establishment license would be cover all aspects of massage, whether it's just a chair massage or all aspects of a license you might find in a typical business. To note, in addition to the use permit process, the city does have a special massage establishment license that's required also. And so it goes through a little bit more rigorous process of evaluating who the main holder of the license holder is for the massage establishment. So they'll have to abide by those rules and requirements that's set up with the sales tax and license process that does do some additional vetting of background checks with the police department. So if the use permit, or if the massage establishment is something more akin to a once in a while special event, then they might likely have to get that process approved through the special events request. But a typical license needs to be vetted through sales tax and license with the proper license. In addition to the use permit.
Commissioner Miller?
So, Ryan, if I'm understanding you, it almost seems as if having a use permit for massage at this time is premature, unless they're actually planning to go ahead with the second part of the process. Does that make sense, or am I misreading what you're saying?
I think it's better if the applicant kind of maybe explain their timing of when these components may come into play, but we discussed extensively the possibility of all the types of use permits that could be presented. We know the two primary use permits that were needed to start the process of the business was the Series 6 bar license and the live entertainment, both indoors and outdoors.
Mr. Berger, welcome back.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioner Miller, Commissioner Schwartz. So we're just in an odd category, like you said. So offering a chair massage and a tent massage should be just fine and not required by use permit. Tempe code doesn't say that. It's really unclear about the topic, and it specifically says a massage establishment. But it doesn't say a massage building, a massage shop. And so we're just in a really weird gray area of, does an establishment mean anybody charging for a massage? And so if someone charges $20 for a chair massage, have they accidentally fallen into this category? It hasn't been tested to my knowledge. There are no interpretations in the city staff to my knowledge on the topic. And so we were just trying to cover our bases. We're not intending to offer a massage or a spa or a quiet venue for such activities. But just as Commissioner Spears pointed out, we'd like to be up to the Hilltop Bar. That's about halfway through the golf course. If you've pulled anything, we have a therapist there that can address that and make an appointment with you if they need to follow up. If you're on the driving range and someone is there working with it, you're tight with something, they can adjust that and you can go back and do what you're doing. At night golf, if you are playing on 3 holes and those 3 holes are the thing, and someone is out there watching your swing and wants to perfect something, we want to be able to have it there. That's why we weren't able to give a specific location, like you have to go back to the clubhouse, they'll work on you and then send you back out, sort of thing. We don't have any absolute need to do it. It's just a nice thing to offer along with the golf activities that we're doing. And wanted to make sure we were crystal clear with the city that we intended to do that versus someone coming out and saying, hey, you can't be doing that, you need a use permit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Of course.
Yes.
I guess I would
Yes,
just
Commissioner
have, one last question for the applicant, if you did not have the use permit for the massage establishment, would that in any way really affect the ability to move forward on the rest of the project?
Chairman, Commissioner Miller, no, not at all.
Thank you.
So I think what we can do is vote on them separately and pull that one permit and vote on that separately. Would that be acceptable?
Yes, you can choose to act on all the use permits together or individually if in different groups.
So it doesn't sound like there's any question on the rest of them. So Commissioner Spears?
I would move for the approval of the 5 permits for PL 230080.
Okay. Is there a second? Commissioner Redmond?
I second that motion.
Okay, so that's for all of the permits that are associated with this item. Understand? Okay. All right, so all those in favor, raise your right hand. And those opposed? Okay, so that motion passes with 4 in support and 2 against. All right, thank you. Did it all at once. Okay, well, that wraps us up. So our next item is Commissioner announcements. Are there any announcements from the commission? Nothing? Okay, let's hear it.
Keep Tempe Beautiful is having a cleanup at Kiwanis Park on May 20th at the Rec Center from 7 to 9 a.m. KeepTempeBeautiful.org for more information.
It's in the record now. Thank you. Great.
Put it down.
All right, staff announcements?
Chair Johnson, our next regular meeting is May 23rd, 2023. We have got 4 items for that agenda. The development plan review for a 7-unit single-family detached project at Country Club Townhomes. A use permit request for a drive-through at Preston Broadway Chick-fil-A at 1139 West Broadway Road. Use permit to allow live entertainment for Brick Road Coffee at 4415 South Rural Road. And a use permit request to park in the required front yard setback for Rice residents at 103 West Palm Cross Drive. That's it.
Excellent. Thank you. Well, this meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everyone, for being here.